Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our June 4th, 2024 regular meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence as we continue to mourn and recognize the hostages, as well as many people who are suffering in Somalia, Darfur, people in Ukraine, and anyone else who is affected by any of the horrific conflicts that are going on in this world. Please take a moment of silence. Thank you. To begin our evening, I would like to ask you please to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Quickly, our values for Beverly Hills Unified School District: excellence, integrity, wellness, inclusion, safety, and community. Mission of educational excellence, and our vision is that our students will realize their full potential to thrive with integrity in a complex, changing world. Okay, can I get...
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I will second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And Dr. Breggy, a report of closed session.
President Stern, there was no action in closed session.
Okay, thank you. We now move to a moment of public hearing. Let's see. So the public hearing on the proposed Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, is now open at 5:39 p.m. Pursuant to Education Code Section 52060-52077, the governing board of each school district shall adopt a Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, on or before July 1st, 2024. The LCAP shall be adopted with the district's annual budget. The public was invited to email their questions to Dustin Seaman and Marilu de Arcos. Mr. Seaman received no questions or comments. The Board of Education has heard your comments, and we thank you very much for your input. The public hearing is now closed at 5:41 p.m. Okay, we have another public hearing moment. Public hearing on the proposed 2024-25 budget. The public hearing on the proposed 2024-2025 budget is now open at 5:42 p.m. Pursuant to Education Code Section 52060-52077, the governing board of each school district shall adopt a budget on or before July 1st, 2024. The public was invited to email their questions to Mr. Guzman. Mr. Guzman received no questions or comments. The Board of Education has heard your comments, and we thank you very much for your input. The public hearing is now closed at 5:43 p.m. What? Okay. That might.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm just sharing my screen now. 1 second while I do this. So good evening to our board president, Dr. Stern, our board members, and our members of the public, Dr. Breggy, and cabinet. Just wanted to take the time to say thank you for the opportunity to present the 24-25 annual budget. I think I'm sharing on the screen. Hopefully you guys could see. I'm not sure why it's a little different, but let me stop sharing and maybe reshare. 1 second. Okay, can we take a look there? Perfect. All right. So again, so we every year we present our annual budget. This is how we're going to operate as far as the budget goes. And to start us off, I just wanted to turn this over to Marilu de Arcos. She is our interim director of fiscal, and I just want to say thank you to her and the team. They really worked very hard to get this budget together. All of our principals, thank you. All of our administrators, our assistant superintendents, we had a long time and we met together, looked at the budget in detail to make sure we produced the best budget possible. And I just want to say thank you to all of the admin team. I'll turn it over to Marilu, who will take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening, Board of Education, President Stern. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'd like to thank everyone that took the time to meet with me this year. It's been a year of great collaboration, and I'm very grateful to the cabinet directors, all the school site principals and staff, and a special thank you to all the fiscal services and payroll teams that do a lot of work throughout the year and make this possible. So, going through the budget financial reporting cycle, you might be familiar with this image, and we are now at this part of the circle in the cycle. We are having the public hearing for our adopted LCAP and budget for fiscal year 24-25. And soon we will begin closing the fiscal year of 23-24. It is a legal requirement. The Education Code 42127 provides that on or before July 1st of each year, the governing board of each school district shall, 1, hold a public hearing conducted in accordance with Ed Code 42103 on the budget adopted for the subsequent fiscal year, and the budget to be adopted shall be prepared pursuant to Ed Code 33129, 52060, and 52062. The 45-day revision, that's the 2024-2025 California State Budget Act has not been signed prior to the creation of the district's adopted budget, so the district will need to incorporate any significant changes related to the final approved budget act within the 45-day budget revision period. The district will bring any revisions to a Board of Education meeting in August 2024 if necessary. Reviewing our BHUSD trends, we are a community-funded district, which means that we rely mostly on property taxes, as opposed to ADA like other districts in our area. The difference between community-funded and state aid is that changes in ADA don't greatly affect unrestricted revenues. Changes in property taxes increase or decrease unrestricted income. For us, for total revenues, property taxes matter, and ADA doesn't truly affect our revenues. And major changes in LCFF funding intended to address new programs are not received. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Darkos. Appreciate that. So, as you know, our main source of funding is property taxes, and you can see this year we're forecasting a jump to $71.1 million in 24-25 as it pertains to property tax revenue. This year we ended at about 68.5. If you remember, second interim we were higher by about $300,000, somewhere around there, and we received an estimate of taxes report that showed that we were going to be lower. But our actuals came in higher, so we're kind of going in between the two numbers that we saw for the estimate of taxes and what we actually received to, really kind of quantify it at a reasonable point. But I wouldn't be surprised if the current year number goes up, and if it does go up, then that impacts the next year's number. So I just want to full disclosure, we kind of went with an average as it pertains to property taxes for 23-24 and 24-25, given that we saw more come in than was on the report. So we went with an average. Enrollment, now mind you, these numbers are as of a certain date called CBEDS or Census Day, or they've changed that name so many times, but it's gone down, as you can see, from 3160 to 3041, but our enrollment has kind of been going up and down and fluctuating. That's not the number as of right now, so but that is the number that we had when we had our budget Census Day. So that's the number we're projecting. General fund salaries are jumping up next year. Most of that is in the reason you're seeing such a big jump from 50.5 to 56 has mainly to do with a 10% increase in 10.5% increase in salaries that the board has approved for the different bargaining units. So far, there's I think a couple more left, but that's where we're at now, and that kind of makes sense, right? If you take 50 times 10% and you add that, it adds it to be about 56.2. It gets there, so it's very understandable why we're there. The general fund expenditures per student, that's gone up from 32.6 thousand per student to 34.6. I just want you to know, when we say a per student expense, we don't mean that every student gets a check for $34,000 and then they get to pay their teachers. Like, that's not what happens. It's just basically you have a general fund total amount, and we divide it by the total number of students, and that's how we come up with, well, what is the cost for each student, because ultimately all of that cost is associated to that. So that's how we come up with that. In regards to what are our sources of revenue, right? So for every dollar that we receive, 73 cents come from local Beverly Hills property taxes. 19 cents comes from other local revenue, specifically mainly the City of Beverly Hills JPA that we have. And we appreciate that partnership with our JPA. It's truly fantastic for our district, and it's a significant source of our success. So we're thankful to the people in the City of Beverly Hills and for all of their support. We also appreciate the support of BHEF and what they contribute to our general fund, as well as our PTAs and other gifts and donations that we receive throughout the year. We're truly thankful for all the different partnerships that we have and that we're able to work with. Now, 6 cents out of every dollar that we get comes from EPA, which is the Education Protection Act, Basic Aid Supplement, which is money from the state, lottery monies, CTE monies, mandated cost grant, and COVID programs. Now, mind you, that's mainly our source of funding there. And, of course, the federal government always gives their 2 cents of every dollar. And then after that, we have our general fund expenses. And for our general fund, every dollar that we spend, 78 cents goes to employee salaries and benefits. So as you can see, that's the main source of our expenses. It's employee salaries and benefits, as it should be. 3 cents it comes for books and supplies. 18 cents are for services and other operating expenses, such as insurance, utilities, legal, other contracts, and so forth. 1 cent is deferred maintenance and technology refresh. So that's how our dollars break out. For our estimated actuals, I know it may be a little hard to see there on the screen, but we didn't see too much volatility between the second interim report and our estimated actuals for how we're closing this school year. Basically, our revenues went up from 96.4, that last number there, 96.4 million, went up to 96.7 million. Most of that can be attributed to that fact that our local revenues came in higher, mainly due to interest income that we received. So we just saw more interest income come in. We do see, you can see that negative for property taxes. At second interim, we were at 68.8. So there was a $300,000 downward. Quite frankly, I do believe that will go up, but I can't do that because I have no evidence right now that it will. And so we took an average, and that's how we came up to that 330. But I do believe that when I come back to you in September, that number is probably going to be gone, and you'll probably see that back in the budget. But I can't guarantee that. So anyways, expenditure-wise, you can see certificated salaries went up slightly. Classified, we had some reductions, is basically attributed to like some late hires and different projections. Benefits came a little lower as well. Overall, the ending balances, we saw go from 24.2 to 23.9. So our expenditures were less throughout the year than we anticipated at second interim. We did see an increase in our services, but mainly that's us expending out some of our one-time dollars that we had, such as for the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials block grant, as well as the Learning Recovery block grant. So you're seeing those increased expenses there. And of course, some expenses of increases in routine restricted maintenance and things of that nature. In regards to, now let's jump forward to 24-25, which is the next year's budget, or actually, as of July 1 would be that year's budget, right? 24-25. Our beginning fund balance is very healthy. It starts at 23.9 million. We into 1.1 million in property taxes. When it's all said and done, for all of our sources of revenue, we project to be at $99.2 million in revenue for the 24-25 school year. As far as expenses, we project that our total expenses would be about $105.2 million. the operational impact is negative of 5.9, but just keep in mind that our beginning balance, as I mentioned before, was at 23.9. So essentially, we end up at an $18 million ending fund balance as it pertains to the general fund. When we look at the multi-year projection and we include our Fund 17 in there, our reserve percentage is 25.97% for this fiscal year 24-25. It's 25.97%. Basically, our revenues were at 99.2, our expenses were 105 million, and so that puts us at 27.3 million as far as our unrestricted ending fund balance, which is a 25.97% reserve. In 25-26, we're at 24.96% reserve, and in 26-27, we are at 25.97% reserve. As you can see, our Fund 17.1 is growing from 1.5 to 2 million and then to 2.5. That's the tech plan. So we're making progress there. That's really good for us to make sure that we continue to build progress with our technology refresh plan. But that's going from 1 million this year to in 24-25, 1.5, then 2 million and then 2.5. As far as our other funds, Fund 8 is going to end, we're projecting, at about $724,000. Our Fund 13, which is our cafeteria fund, we're happy to report that there will be no contribution again this year. In fact, we'll have some ending fund balance, and we may have to come back at first interim and actually find some more sources of expenses there, because we can't really carry too big of a fund balance in the cafeteria fund. It's not something that is allowed, so we're going to have to start spending that down. As far as the contribution, you can see there that we have no contribution this year. Deferred maintenance, our team is looking to spend about $820,000 next year, and so we would potentially be ending at about $327,000 as far as our ending fund balance. Our reserve fund, our Fund 17, is going from 14 million. It's going to end at about 14.7 million. So the reason why it's going up is two things: interest income from the $14 million, as well as the contribution for the IT refresh plan. So that's why you're seeing that go up by so much. As it pertains to Fund 21, those monies are going to be also expended. We project to be at about 21.8 at the end of the fiscal year. Fund 25 is at about 1.2 million is what we're projecting. Fund 35, that's still out there, 16.2, but that will most likely be at some point spent next year. We just don't have the final say for that yet, but we'll get there. Fund 67 is pretty much flat to where we started at 516,000. And our OPEB fund is starting at 8.4, which means we end 23-24 at about 8.4 million, and it's going up to 9.9 million in the next year. So that's going to be going up quite a bit. But those are our funds. Next steps, we're hoping to have the budget approved. As you know, this is a public hearing, but we have to be able to present the budget to the public and allow for questions. We hope to get that approved and then continue to monitor our property taxes. As I mentioned, I do believe that our property taxes will come in higher than what we're anticipating now. We have to continue to monitor any legal settlements, and of course we want to make sure we reconcile all of our ESSER dollars, because this is the last year that we have to spend it. And of course now we're beginning to focus on year-end closing. So that is all I have, and I'll turn it over back to you for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just go around. Mr. Margot.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. The differential in our department expenditures is that gap has been closing. Do you still see room for improvement there, or do you think we've done about as much as we can in what we allocate and then the expenditures that are actually not spent?
So that's a great question, Mr. Margot. Yes, I think we've done a much better job this year for the new school year. We met with each one of our principals, and we looked at that, what's actually being spent versus the budget. I think we're at a reasonable point. We lowered some of those to match what this historical trend. Basically, what we did was we looked at 3 years worth of data. We saw what was spent at each site, and then we talked to the principal and said, look, this is where we think you're going to be. We went over like the different vendors they utilized last year and looked at if there was anything that we can reduce, and we looked at all of those options and we came to a budget. So it's a lot of progress has been made in that area. There can be some more that probably can be reduced, but I think we're taking kind of those steps forward to where we get to a point where we're like more zero-based budgeting per se. So that's where we're at now.
Great. And then for the bond expenditures, you're predicting 88 million in 24-25.
Yes.
Is that the completion of B3, B4, and the commencement of the athletic building? Is that basically what's
Yes.
caught up in that?
We're projecting those. And as you know, there's also the Fund 35, which eventually will be will utilize for these projects as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Ms. Manishari?
Thank you for your report. I just wanted to know in the bond chart, the blue portion on the right-hand side with the 21 million figure, is that because is that the modernization funds that you're expecting to come back to us?
No, that's where we're anticipating to end the year. So basically, we look at when we're looking at the budget for the year, we just look at that year of expense. So we're projecting to start at 106 million. We're probably spending about 88 million next year.
And then you've got the 21.
And then we'll end with 21. And that'll carry over to next year.
Got it.
But that's not inclusive of the other dollars that you mentioned for modernization.
Okay. Thank you. Because that's for 2028, right?
Yes, most likely 2028, depending on how our economy continues to perform. It really depends.
Okay. Thank you.
Couple questions. I was noting the expenditures for students going up approximately the same number of dollars every year. In other words, like 2,000. Yeah, thank you. 2,000. They're about 3,000, 2,000 in that range. Considering the tremendous what we offered the teachers and so on, I would have expected that to be more. I don't know why.
Yeah, so what happened was, as you know, fiscal year 23-24, which is the one we're just ending,
Right.
included COVID monies, included one-time dollars. Next year's budget doesn't include those COVID funds, so that's why you're seeing not as big of a jump as you would have seen.
I see. Okay, and then we will be all through with ESSER funds exactly when, you know?
We're already all through with them. We're just closing the books with them in
So
September.
there are
but
no
they're
more
all-
ESSER funds at all.
No. I wish there were, but they're not.
Well, we used them wisely, I think.
We did.
Okay, I thank you for your report. It's very comprehensive, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I just appreciate our team.
And the team.
They did a great job, so thanks to them as well.
Thank you.
Yes, and I have no further questions, but just a big thank you as always. I like the colorful format and the ink that was used. And
Of course. And just one last thing. I just want to take the time to also thank Dr. Breggy for his direction with this whole budget. I mean, we met with him, and he's always providing great direction to us and giving us sound advice. So thank you, Dr. Breggy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
all right, we now move to public comment, and I do have a list. I'd like to call up Gia Namiri. Gia, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, good.
Should I start? Hi, my name is Gia Namidi, and I just completed 3rd grade at Hawthorne Elementary School. I love my school and all of my teachers. They have always worked hard and tried their best to teach my class our curriculum. Why do we have to take away a teacher from 4th grade? We should actually have more teachers. I already had a hard time learning with 21 students. How will I be able to handle more? For example, 21 students couldn't be handled, and it was not because of my teacher, because she was awesome. We had about 5 to 7 disruptive students that did not fear for any consequences. Another example is when I am trying to learn and answer a question in class, the students talk over me and distract the entire class. Then my teacher had to stop teaching to tell the disruptive students to behave. These students take my learning time away from me, and instead of learning, I had to watch the kids get disciplined. It was not fair for me or my teacher. My third example is, once we had a substitute teacher for 3 weeks. Our class was so out of control and disrespectful that they made our substitute teacher cry. Lastly, some people have tantrums and storm out of the room almost every day. Our teacher has to stop teaching and give the office a call. This is distracting and frustrating for me and the other students who want to learn. I am still excited to learn and want to learn as much as I can. This is why I hope you bring another 4th grade teacher. I am not a number. I am a student who wants to learn. In conclusion, you have learned why not only we shouldn't take away a 4th grade teacher, but why we should add one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Namiri? And you have 3 minutes.
Let's go higher.
It should, yeah.
My daughter just spoke, and I'm very proud of her. Great job. We all talk about how our voice matters to our children and families, and I hope you see our children here and respond to their words. My name is Sam Namiri. I'm a parent of incoming 4th and 1st graders at El Rodeo Elementary School. First, I wanted to thank you all for listening to all of us, because I'm sure you get a ton of complaints and suggestions and not very much praise, and it's a very thankless job, I believe. But thank you all for working hard to provide a safe and healthy environment to educate so many children. I think there are a lot of unintended consequences that will arise from this decision to have 3 teachers in 4th grade at El Rodeo next year, with 29 students per teacher. First, the mental health of the teachers for that grade. Dealing with so many kids is not easy and taxing. I wouldn't be surprised if a teacher will need a leave of absence next year to deal with the additional stress and recharge. I've coached soccer teams and basketball teams, so I have some experience, dealing with not just my own kids, but a bigger group. Second, the HR consequences. If I'm a teacher at a school for other grades, how can I feel confident that you won't put me in the same situation in the school another year? All things being equal, I'll prefer to work at a school that has no precedent of increasing class sizes suddenly so high, and keep class sizes in the low 20s and not 29. Third, there was a situation where a student brought a knife to school in this grade. I don't know the details, but I'm sure a teacher in a class of 29 would be less likely to find something like that compared to a class of 20, 21, 22 students. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but if something had happened in a class of 29, who would take responsibility? Could a teacher be likely to control such things, or would it be blamed on the administration? Please don't set our system up to have cracks in it. Please don't put our teachers in a bad position. Please don't put it in other grades teachers' minds that at any time we could put them in a similar situation that sets them up for failure. I know and trust that you are all smart and compassionate people that will do the right thing and not set a bad precedent for our grade, school, and district. The gentleman earlier did a great job going over the budget and said each student expense is over $36,000. And at 29 students, that's over $1 million. Congratulations, we've created a over $1 million class in Beverly Hills. I was just kidding. But let's please not do so. Go over your values, mission, and vision, and please have 4 4th grade teachers at El Rodeo next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Aiden Labby. Aiden, you have 6 minutes because Dashiell Labby ceded time to you. We're going to just adjust there you go. Okay.
Hi, my name is Eden Levy. I'm 9 years old and I will be going into 4th grade next year. In my previous grade, I had Miss Green and we had 20 kids in our class. I heard that next year we will be having 29 kids in our class. No one will be on their best behavior with an increase of 9 more students. There will be 9 more kids, and that is a lot. Teachers can already not handle the dynamics of 20 kids. The kids in my grade are very disrespectful and have no self-control. At lunch, kids throw their lunch boxes at other kids and smack teachers. Kids squeeze other kids' necks. In class, kids talk back to teachers all the time. They make excuses for not listening, and my teacher got interrupted all the time when she was teaching us a lesson. Some kids eat in class without asking the teacher, and they get up and do things they're not supposed to do. So then the teacher has to stop class and talk to that student, and then other kids get out of control and goof off. There will be lots of behavioral issues because it is already so terrible with 20 kids in a class. You can't get kids in trouble if you increase the class size by 9 kids because you are deciding to set the kids up for failure. Before we even start 4th grade, if my classmates can't listen and are disrespectful and hurt others now, you can't expect them to be better. You should know they will get much, much worse. In my last school, no kid was allowed to do things that kids do at my new school. We had an aide in the class to help. The school took these things seriously, and if a kid did things a lot, they couldn't come back to class, and they would get moved to a different class, even if they didn't want to get moved to a different kind of class. I've never experienced such vulgar language and physical aggression in my whole entire life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dylan Unesi? Dylan, you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Dylan Unesi, and I think the class sizes are too big with 29 kids because like a lot of my classmates mess around in class. They disrupt the teacher. They can't let us learn. So whenever we're trying to learn, they interrupt the teacher. They get in trouble, and then we can't learn. So that's why like we can't learn, and we get like very like not smart. So we can't learn, and then like we don't have as much smartness as the other kids. And another thing I like to talk about is behavior. The behavior in my grade is very aggressive. They say a lot of bad language. They're not nice to other kids. They do not like whenever something doesn't go their way. They always like it when it goes their way. But they should learn that they should let it go other people's way sometimes. It's not okay to always let it go your way. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
Natalie, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Breggy. Hi, board members. I'm Natalie Unesi. That was my son, Dylan Unesi, who's also going to be an upcoming 4th grader. I'm a mom of 3 boys, heavily involved in the PTA. I'm always on campus. I'm always around school. So I see a lot of your audience that's going to be affected by this. I received your email that I wrote about the whole class size. Thank you for that. But I still have a lot of concerns. One being is, why do we have to have the maximum size of classes? Why do we have to follow what the state is allowing us to do when we're Beverly Hills and we've prided ourselves on smaller class sizes and really giving each kid their own time and designated time from the teachers? I feel like we shouldn't compare ourselves to LAUSD and any other school around California because we always had small size classes. We always did great because of that. And especially Dylan's grade demographic, they can't afford more students in their class. There's a lot of, I want to say, troubled kids. I want to say that they have behavioral issues. I'm sorry, Dylan, I know, is also one. His teacher tells me he sees a few kids doing it. They follow their lead. They do it. And I get it. They're kids. They should. I understand. But it's not fair to your teachers to put them in that position. Our teacher has cried so many times this year. She has had so many issues with all the kids. And I know that as across the board, all the 3rd grade teachers, I'm on campus, I talk to them, I hold their hands, and I see them stressed. It's not fair. They put their heart into this school, and we should do better for our teachers, not just for our kids, but our teachers. They really value their learning experience with their kids. And if you put 29 kids in a class, they'll never learn. There'll be too much distractions, and we'll see that. We'll see that with the test scores. We'll see that even more with behavioral issues. It will just get worse. If you told me any other grade, I would work with you. I have a first grader. I agree. They can handle it. Not this grade, not these kids. Come one day on campus and see for yourselves. You could see it from the teachers. They struggled this year. You guys, we had one teacher leave in the middle of the year because she just needed time off. And we have one of the best teachers, I believe, in the district, and she struggled. And I don't blame her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. We have Jeff Faust. And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Faust. I'm a Beverly Hills resident and parent of 3 kids. Our daughters are at Horace Mann, and our son, who is 4, is going to be in TK next year. I'm here today because my wife and I were very surprised to learn that although our daughters are at Horace Mann and we live 1 block from the school, unless there are transfer requests, our son will have to go to El Rodeo, which is 2 miles from our home. We spoke to the district, and we were dismayed to learn that although there were 3 TK classes at Horace Mann this year, there are currently only 2 planned for the upcoming school year. This has the very unfortunate effect of leaving many children who live in walking distance to Horace Mann without a spot at their local home school. Even worse, many of us who have siblings at Horace Mann won't be able to attend the same school as their sibling. This puts an unnecessary burden on working parents who will have to handle 2 pickups, drop-offs at school that are 2 miles apart during peak rush hour time. In our son's preschool class, there are 3 other families, and on our son's T-ball team, there are 2 other families that are dealing with the same situation. I'm here today asking the board to please add the 3rd TK class back to Horace Mann so that all students have the ability to go to their neighborhood school. Making parents wait to see if spots open up after the transfer requests are put in puts an unnecessary burden on the families in the city, as families would need to make childcare, transportation, and other aftercare arrangements before the beginning of the school year. Lastly, being geographically closer to your home school equates to more involvement in the school activities, including fundraisers and the community at large. This is a big issue for our community. We purchased our home on Hamel 2 years ago with the plans to have all 3 of our children attend Horace Mann, and it would be a real shame if our son could not go to Horace Mann, a block away, and instead we had to commute to El Rodeo, 2 miles away. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Lastly, we have Michelle Yashapur. Hi, Michelle. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Yashapur. I have 3 kids in the district, and I love our schools. I have to give a shout out to Mr. Waters, who called me today on my cell phone to tell me that my son's electives were overlapping and that I needed to figure out what elective to do instead because of the timing not working out, and also giving a whole synopsis of what he thought would be better in terms of getting the credit for high school. And, it was just, honestly, I was blown away. And this is kind of what we in Beverly Hills have grown accustomed to, is being in a public school district that is like a private school. So now on to my other concern. We all know that there are many studies that show that class size and education and test scores and educational outcomes are very related, okay? The behavioral issues are behavioral issues, and that needs to be addressed. And I think that that's another conversation, that if we are having so many complaints about behavioral issues, something else is off. And I know that the teachers have agreed to a number of 29, and that's in the union, and it's allowed, and it's kosher, and it's fine. My concern is, for the past, however many years I've been in the school, and then when I've talked to my friends who actually attended the school, who are parents of third graders now, we've always had class sizes that have been 24 or 25 in the fourth grade class. My other concern is that looking at the numbers and at the email that was sent out, it looks like in Horace Mann, the fourth grade class is going to have 22 kids, and the the El Rodeo class will have 29. That's a huge discrepancy for that grade. And we're always talking about equity and having things be equal, and I don't think that that is something that a district that has played as a private school in a public school district would approve of, and I just think that I have had the experience where teachers have taken their golden handshake because of overloaded classes, and I just feel like we want to keep parents happy, we want to keep teachers happy. I know that there's a budgetary concern, but I think that this is something where the money should be spent. I think we're going into a new school. There's going to be a lot of changes. I think that, keeping our kids in an environment that could be easily managed, especially that first year. And if we see that things go okay, then maybe you guys can reconsider. Then okay. I also just think that, we've made a lot of accommodations for children of grandparents, children of employees. We've added a lot of kids. Maybe we shouldn't have done that if we can't keep our class sizes small. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus item B1.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion to table the item 10B1, lines 5 and 6.
Are you approving the rest of the item minus that line?
Minus that line. Tabling it at this time. I move to table the motion.
I second.
Move to table 10B1, 10B.
I believe we need to vote on...
Well, I thought we did.
No, now we have to break it down. We have to vote on this item minus that line item.
Okay.
And then we can address the line item.
Okay.
Dr. Breggy?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to get a motion for the approval of the consent calendar minus 10B1, line item 5 and 6.
No, we already did that. You wanted to make a motion to approve 10B1 minus item 5 and 6.
Oh,
Lines 5 and 6.
Did we vote?
No, she said consent calendar. She can't
Go
say
ahead.
consent calendar.
I make a motion to table item number 10B1, lines 5 and 6.
Here, just make it. Judy, make it.
Go ahead, Judy.
We're making a motion to approve of it minus that item.
I'm making a motion to approve minus lines 5 and 6, 10B1, but you said we were going to table it.
You almost got it there. We're almost there.
And to table that.
And to table it. Table that item.
Okay.
Can I get a second?
No, we're going to make the motion correctly. Just for the record. I'll make a motion to approve item 10B1 minus lines 5 and 6.
I'll second.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Now deal with items lines 5 and 6.
Now I will make a motion to table 10B1, lines 5 and 6.
There you go.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Motion passes 3-1. Now we move on to reports. We have the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, CBOC Measure E, and BH annual reports to the Board of Education.
I think by code, the
Sister goal.
Will, are you able to put that up?
Just for the sake of time, do you want me just to do mine really
Yeah, that's a
quick?
good
Because
idea.
mine's really short this evening.
Okay. The superintendent report.
Okay.
Thanks, Dr. Brady.
Sure.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'll be really quick.
Yeah, you go first.
So, good evening to our board and to our cabinet and our community. Just a couple of things to report on at the end of the year. I have been asked to speak along with Councilmember Corman and Chief Stainbrook at the Municipal League. They are having a town hall next week on Wednesday, the 12th. And so they've asked me to just join them as they share some things that are happening in their organizations, whether it's the city level, whether it's police department, or in our school district. And I'm very proud to be able to do that next week. We also have another recognition and acknowledgement for Fonder Solari as they are going to be receiving the CMAA Project Achievement Award in the category of education. And here are a couple of pictures here that they have submitted for their award. And so we are going to be fortunate enough to be able to attend in Long Beach to be able to receive that award with and recognize Fonder Solari next week. And we're very excited, or actually this week, and we're very excited about that opportunity. I'm not sure why this picture didn't show up. No idea why that's not working. It's like right there. I don't know. It's never happened before. But here's what I'm going to do, just because you can see it this way. I just have some pictures of each of our promotions that we were very excited to be able to attend. So even though when I present, it's not letting you see the picture, but sometimes it is. So I'm just going to go this way just so you can see some of our pictures from the promotion at Hawthorne. And for some reason, they're not coming up. There's one. This is at Horace Mann, which was last week. Mr. Bugby. That one's not going to show. Yeah, I'll try that. Let me try this, see if it... There we go. A little glitchy tonight. Okay, pictures from Hawthorne again. Horace Mann. Really great service at Beverly Vista Middle School. And of course, the high school graduation last Friday. So I wanted to share a few of those. There are more on our website that we are sharing. We really had a terrific end of the year celebration at each of our schools, and I'm proud to share that information with you. And that is my report for tonight.
Thank you. Comments? Okay.
I knew you'd like that one.
Ms. Manishari?
No comments, just thank you for your report and a great end of the year season.
You bet.
I'm just thrilled to hear the news about Fonder and Solari, and I think that's really a real top of the hat type of thing for them to get, because they really came in and they really got the job done. And if you look at the pictures that they submitted, they could have submitted a lot more because they really did a fabulous job. So I'm glad that they got the award, and it's a really testament to changing over. So I just like to say that. And I was at all the graduations, and they all did a marvelous job. They were so well conducted and so well run. It was just like clockwork, and I just want to compliment all of the people who had anything to do with the graduations, as well as the kids, because they did an outstanding job.
Thank you, Ms. Marcus. I would agree that, well, first of all, Fonda Solari, Ms. Marcus and I and some other folks are going down Thursday to celebrate you, and we are very proud and honored to be a part of that on Thursday. Also, the graduation and promotion ceremonies were amazing. They were so well done, so well orchestrated, and truly thankful for everyone who had their hand in it. I want to also give a special shout out to the security team, and that includes not only our Beverly Hills Director of Security, Mark Mead, but also Sean O'Connor, Ryan Damavandi, as well as the citywide law enforcement. And sometimes we don't realize how good and well-oiled something is until something unfortunately goes wrong. And thankfully, to my knowledge, nothing went wrong. And in this era, a lot could have gone wrong. So I have no doubt that through the intelligence and oversight of security, that we were kept safe, and I appreciate that. Other than that, thank you for the report. Okay, and now we move on to CBOC.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, dear board members and Dr. Breggy. My name is Jasmine, and Nathan and I are members of the Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, also known as the CBOC. We are here to present you with the annual CBOC report. Just a quick little background information for anyone who may not know. In 2008, Beverly Hills voters passed Measure E for $334 million. Then in 2008, Beverly Hills voters passed Measure BH for $385 million for the construction, repair, and modernization of district facilities. The role of the CBOC, according to the Education Code, is to ensure that bond proceeds have been spent according to the ballot language, to report on the progress annually to the public, and lastly, to provide a compliance statement. During the last year, the school district completed an annual financial audit with Christy White and an annual performance audit with Moss Adams. It is important to note that the bond program management has changed from TCDS to Fonda Solari effective July 1st, 2022. Christy White's financial audit focused on the accuracy and fairness of the financial statements prepared by the district on Measure E, which had expenditures of about $76,000, and Measure BH, which had expenditures of about $74 million for the fiscal year July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. The fund balance for Measure E was about $11 million, and for Measure BH, $175 million. The Moss Adams performance audit had 3 findings that the CBOC believes the public should be aware of. Firstly, auditors were unable to validate whether billing to the district was compliant with the contract terms. Per inquiry with the district and Fonda Solari team, both contractor and subcontractor lien waivers are being received and reviewed on a regular basis and are available upon request. The auditor's recommendation is for the district to continue conducting detailed reviews of monthly payment applications to verify all charges are compliant and fully supported. As a best practice, the district's billing controls and policies should be evaluated to prevent potential excessive and non-compliant charges to the district as required by the contract.
Additionally, the district should continue requiring subcontractors to submit conditional and unconditional lien waivers. I would like to note that this finding has been a finding since 2009, and finally now has the new bond program manager addressed this finding after 4 years. Secondly, auditors said that there were unclear protocols to prevent procurement fraud. The district has developed but did not maintain a consolidated bid and procurement activity report during the fiscal year as outlined in the policies and procedures. Auditors were unable to identify reporting protocols, escalation procedures, and checklist protocols and procedures. It is unclear whether the district has adequate controls in place to identify, prevent, and detect procurement fraud. According to the district and Fondra Solari staff, they did complete fraud awareness training during the fiscal year and will continue to do so on an annual basis. An updated procurement fraud prevention and detection control was under development through the fiscal year and was approved by the Board of Education on September 26, 2023, which is after our audit period. I would also like to note that this audit finding has been a finding since 2016. And finally, after 6 years, our new bond program team is addressing this issue. Lastly, auditors demonstrated that the updated master budget and master schedule resulted in a reduced program budget shortfall of about $13 million, as presented to the board on June 27, 2023. The reduction in the shortfall is due to updated project estimated value engineering and prioritization of project scopes. The cash flow modeling and funding source components were not included within the program master budget and master schedule, but were included within the monthly reporting to the district. As a best practice, the auditors recommend the master plan should include information surrounding cash flow modeling and funding source information to promote transparency, compliance, and accountability. According to the district and Fondra Solari, updated master planning policies and procedures were under development throughout the fiscal year and were approved by the Board of Education on September 26, 2023, after our audit period. BHUSD and Fondra Solari will expand the master budget and master schedule documentation to ensure that cash flow timing and funding source information is clear and transparent. That's it for the audit findings that the CBOC thinks is material. Now I will pass it on to Nathan to share with you CBOC's own observations and recommendations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, School Board. Thank you, Jasmine. By the way, Jasmine did most of the heavy lifting on this report. It's not as fun as pretty photos. It's a lot of spreadsheets and reading audit reports, so thank you. I just want to highlight, the audit gets really granular, and so the CBOC's report is to also step back and include some of our own observations. So this is the fourth report I've been involved in, and in the first report many years ago, there were a lot of opportunities. And so what a difference 4 years makes, or even 2 years for that matter. So the biggest observation or the comment we have is there has been a major transformation in a positive direction with this bond program. There was years back, there was a complete lack of transparency. Budgets and timelines were challenged. A lot of it was driven by the former bond manager. So the first thing we'd say is bringing Fondra Solari in was one of the greatest decisions that we've made as it relates to this bond program. So I credit the school board and the district for accomplishing that. So a couple of the byproducts with the school board, they've really addressed all of the audit recommendations. Typically, there's out of 6, only 1 is addressed. So all 6 were addressed. So that kudos to the school board, the district led by Raphael for accomplishing that. In addition, let me see if I could zoom up here. really improve transparency. As a CBOC member, it's so challenging to go in a room and you're given these like charts and graphs and there's no granularity. So now we get full general ledger so we can see expense by expense, is this truly something that should be spent on the bond or is it going for something that shouldn't? So we really appreciate the improved transparency. The addition of Will Karat in his role as construction, I guess, director of construction services. So now he can oversee, as you guys know, what the bond manager is suggesting we pay, as opposed to them reporting to you directly. So that is a great innovation, and I wish we just had done it a few years earlier. Lastly, this improvement. In our last report, the CBOC had really requested some more outreach to the community. It was a lot, nobody knew what was going on. Parents had no idea what timelines were. So now there's, I believe, is it an Instagram channel that you guys put together? There was a town hall, a virtual town hall, not to mention this amazing preview of El Rodeo with 500 people attending. That's the type of outreach that makes all of us feel part of a community, and we know what $750 million is going for. So we appreciate that. Just to wrap up, there's always room for improvement. As we wanted to reinforce this opportunity to further refine the fraud prevention controls. One example is there's no clarity if an employee sees fraud, who do they report to? What's the escalation process? So I think that the team is really working on that more. And so next year, that'll be 100% complete. Two last things. A couple years ago with TCDS, there was this investment of $12 million in a security program. There was no request for proposals for this. There was no transparency on what this money was spent. We just know it was security. There was no ability for the committee to provide oversight. So this is a big black hole that we still need reporting on. So what happened with this program and what was it spent on? So we're hoping that transparency is coming soon. The last thing is we'll request the CBOC that we be included earlier on in the audit process. So as you guys are getting audit findings quarterly, our hope is that we could get those reports as well, so that come Jan-Feb we could provide a report instead of June when the ship has sailed. And so it'll be easier for us to provide oversight if we're part of those early audit reports. So with that, I will just recap. It's a drastic improvement with the bond program. Kudos to the team and kudos to the district for pulling it off. And great El Rodeo. We're so proud. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nathan and Jasmine. Mr. Margot?
Yes, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Nathan. I had
Sure.
On page 4 under your CBOC comments, you indicate that there was a reduction for the budget shortfall, due to negotiations and all of that stuff. But I did want to remind you that the board did pull the parking lot out of the project for the new athletic building, and that's actually what reduced the budget shortfall. It wasn't through any particular negotiations between Pro West or Fonda or anything. It was one big kind of sweeping motion of take a large section out of the construction project. So I thought I wanted that to be a correction, and also that El Rodeo was always going to, no matter who was the bond manager, it was a GMAX contract, and it was always going to be ready by August 24. That's why it's already ready, because they knew it was going to be ready well before their delivery date. So I just wanted to indicate.
I appreciate the insights.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to our CBOC. I know that you give a lot of your time to review these not fun materials, and I appreciate your expertise and insight and the time you took to prepare these. And a big thank you, Raphael, to you and Will and the Fonda Solari teams. You're with the CBOC every step of the way, attending the meetings with them and ensuring, that our auditors are getting the information that they inquire for. And the reports that we're getting now, while they look back, are so dramatically different than what we had been getting in the past. And so I just truly appreciate and congratulate our teams on their transparency and their hard work and doing what needed to be done to get it done. And I think that everybody feels your integrity and your efforts. So I thank you on behalf of these children that were sitting here not too long ago. I know they appreciate you as much as I do. And I also want to congratulate all of you on the upcoming award and the recognition for El Rodeo. And I'm waiting to see what kind of award and recognition you get for the high school in the next couple years too. And I look forward to that.
Thank you. Ms. Marcus.
Well, I don't have to add any words to what Judy just said, and I think that I just want to echo them. I really appreciate everything you do and the dedication that you give to this job, because you're just volunteers and you're doing a terrific job, so thank you.
I echo the sentiments of a lot of my colleagues. I also can attest that the transparency is definitely, feels a lot better than the prior bond management team. And I'm happy to hear that you feel we have addressed a lot of the concerns that were brought up in the former audit. Jasmine, you mentioned that that something has been ongoing since 2016. Was that one area that has not been remedied, or it's all been? Okay, I guess I misunderstood.
It was addressed after our fiscal year has ended. We have to reflect on what goes on in the current fiscal year of the audit period. So even though it was resolved after the fiscal year has ended based on our report, we still have to report on that.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. And just a big thank you for your intelligence, your persistence, your time, reading the fine print, and scrutinizing everything, which is very necessary. Yes, please.
Okay. I'd like to add one thing. I joined the CBOC about, when was it, a year and a half or 2 years ago? And when I sat on the first meeting, they gave us 2 pages of summary numbers, totals. So, for example, it would say Pro West $10 million or $20 million for 3 months. And there was no detailed report on what that $10 million was spent on.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, the CBOC couldn't even do their job, because how are we supposed to verify if those funds are spent on what they're supposed to be spent on if we don't know what they're being spent on? So thank you, because now there's a very, very detailed report that's provided to us every time we go to a meeting, with hundreds of data entries, with dates and explanations and codes. And now we know what that money was actually spent on. Whereas before, they could just say $20 million was spent in 3 months. We don't know what it was spent on. So before, I don't think the CBOC was able to do their job. They weren't allowed to do their job because they were withholding information. But now there's transparency. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. With that, yes.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Stern. I would be remiss I really wanted to just take this time to also personally thank the CBOC. You guys have been so amazing and so patient with us as we've tried to untangle a lot of things. And your recommendations are really what has helped us to be more transparent. I remember being in a meeting and dates not being clear, and then we all came up with the idea of Instagram. So a lot of this is just synergistic thinking, and so I truly appreciate you, Nathan, and Jasmine, and Les, and everybody else in the CBOC. You guys have been great to work with, and I'm just truly thankful for you all. Thank you.
All right, very good. Let's see. Can I get,
Personnel, sir. I'll make a motion for the approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the Beverly Hills Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 328, 2024-2027.
I'll second.
okay, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Business and Finance,
I'll make a motion for the rejection of claim number 639313.
I'll second the motion.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll make a motion for the approval of AB 1200, Public Disclosure of Proposed Collective Bargaining Agreement, CSEA.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Planning and Facilities.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the SOUP insurance premium proposal for the Beverly Hills High School Upper Athletic Fields project.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a motion for the ratification of change to Garza construction contract for Venaco soil backfill at Beverly Hills High School.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I just want to thank staff for the backup on that one. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the acceptance and filling of a notice of completion and release of retention for the BHHS Venaco backfill work with Garza Construction.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now move on to a discussion under maintenance and operations of the BHH color selections. And I know we have this in front of us. And hello, Ken. I think we're going to present it on the screen here.
Can I ask some questions, or do you want to go ahead first? No, I just want to know if this...
No, I don't know if they're presenting first or we're just diving right in.
Huh?
I didn't know if they were presenting or we're
present
diving
first?
right in.
We can dive right in if you've reviewed
go
the
ahead.
pictures. So.
Well, then you want
No, go ahead, Rochelle.
I looked these over, and my feeling, and I can't really tell what's going on. I mean, it's very confusing to me. I'm going to be very honest. I want to know how much coordination is there in the coloring between the building that's on the east side and the buildings on the west side, in terms of looking like they sort of match, or there's something about them that they're together, and I get different. Some are lighter gray, some are darker gray, some are. I'm just very confusing, and I'm not sure what you're really trying to have us do. Are we looking for different colors between the A building and the courtyard buildings? I'm confused by this whole thing.
Okay, so first of all, good evening, everybody, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it very much. There's basically two notions here. One was to initially try to match or come as close as possible with the A and L buildings to match the B building. One of the challenges we have is not only when you print the documents, but your actual renderings with regard to computers is almost impossible to catch accuracy. At the end, there's 3 slides at the end, which we'll talk about when we're done talking about the colors, which actually show some of the actual paint colors that are represented by these renderings. So once we did the renderings, we actually purchased some of the material, the actual material. We put it on a sample area, and we took pictures so you can actually see what does the real color look like versus a computerized rendering. So in revisiting last session, when we talked about the colors, the initial rendering of the attempted match showed quite dark.
Okay, because I don't see that. That's what I was wondering.
Rochelle, I think there might be a mistake here, and maybe that's why we're confused.
Okay.
Can I draw your attention
Please.
to,
Which page?
For option 3,
Option 3?
there's 2 pages. The first page is when you're looking down the alley,
Yeah.
and if you look at, that's Heath Avenue, sorry.
This
Heath
picture.
Avenue.
Heath Avenue.
No, go to option 3, so at the bottom it says 3.
There's 2 pages.
That's option 1. option 1, keep going, option 2, option 2, and now we're at option 3. So the first page of option 3 is Heath Avenue, and we're looking at, on the left, B1 and B2, and then on the right, we're looking at building A, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so at the bottom, it indicates that everything is going to be this halo, which is kind of like a gray.
That's the actual color of the L building right now.
Yes.
It actually shows a bit gray on this rendering.
Yeah.
You'll see it in the two
On-
slides after. You'll see the actual sample of what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's much whiter than the rendering.
So, okay, so it's like a bone, like a grayish bone.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yes.
But then when you go to the second page of option 3, which now you're kind of looking at the triangular meeting of the STC building that we're in now and building A, right?
Yes.
So there at the bottom, you've added the Majorca earthenware for the accent, but does that belong?
So you're right, there is an error on this
Uh-huh.
that you caught, and I apologize for that. This representation on the second slide of option 3 should all be halo. That's the only
Yes.
thing that's shown.
I got you.
So if the earthenware,
I got you.
the earthenware color was a potential match. Now, when I say match,
Mhm.
if you look at any one of the roof tiles on the B building, there's 10 different colors in there, ranging from a clay color all the way to blacks and browns. So we picked a color that was very close to the main body color of the tile in case we wanted to accent anything on the building. So the last page of that slide, number 3, and again, I apologize
It's
for the
okay.
error on that. It should really just say halo. And if
Halo
you-
all the way through.
Halo, because that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
And so on all of these slides where you see pictures left and right, the left is the existing, the right is the proposed
Yeah.
rendering. And so if you look at the right picture and the left picture on the second slide of option 3, they're virtually identical. You've got the original color of the A and L buildings, and then to the right, you've got what it would look like if we use the halo color.
Got
Is that's going to be on the windows? You mean around the windows? Is that for the? Where are you putting? I understand the gray is the most part.
No, it's inapplicable, Rochelle. So the brownish
That one?
that color just X out the box.
Oh, you're not using that at all.
So I can summarize for us. So in option 1, there's kind of like a
Are you on the first page now?
yeah. So if we go to option 1 and we're looking down Heath, it would be that building A, the primary color would be it's called reclaimed wood.
Reclaimed wood, that's
And then
correct.
at the top, the accent would be the
Majolica.
Majolica earthware, which the hope there would be to match the rooftop of B1 and B2.
If we select to have an
If we
accent
select,
at all.
yeah.
Um,
And then the next page, which is still option 1, is showing how building A looks as compared to the STC building.
Correct. So if we decide to wrap the south wall of the A building into the SDC courtyard,
Yeah.
that's the view that you
Okay.
would see.
Then option 2 is the same with the accent of the Majolica earthware, but here the main building of A would be this pewter as
Yes.
opposed to the
That's correct. And
reclaimed wood color.
And the reclaimed wood and pewter are very close.
So
And-
similar.
So they're very similar.
Yeah.
And again, when we get to the last couple of slides, I'll show you the actual color rendering, not a computer rendering, but the actual color
Yeah.
and how it compares. So we painted a little section by the bridge.
Okay, so I think we as a group first need to decide, do we want to do one singular color the whole way through, or do we want to do a main building color and an accent? Let's start with that.
Well, I don't mind the accent on the Heath, down Heath. Because you could tie the accent into the roof and things like that.
Yeah. Last time Noah suggested, you go ahead.
So my general concern, and I'm not a designer, I am not claiming to be, and I wish we didn't even have to make these decisions, but I don't think you'll ever get as close to the charm of the original building with any paint. And I kind of like option 3 and just making building A and the STC its own entity and leave the front buildings as their own entity. Because they're really two different parts of history, those two buildings, and they don't have to try to match each other. They're never going to match each other. Building A is never going to have the charm that B1 and B... Sorry, Building A, don't mean to insult you. But it's never going to have the charm that Building B1 and through B4 is going to have when it's finished. And fortunately for us, it's those buildings that are the facade of the school from Moreno, that's what people see. And the other buildings back here are really utility classroom buildings. You know, that's what they were built for. That's the best service that they are. And I don't want to try to pretend that something that they're not. So if we're making a decision today, I would go with option 3 and do the whole thing in Halo. That's what I would do.
You're looking for trade winds for the whole thing then,
Nope.
right?
No, the
option 3, Halo.
Option 3, Halo.
Huh?
Halo. Halo.
Oh, courtyard Halo.
All of it Halo. The whole
Where
thing
does
is building A and the STC would all be painted in Halo.
With no
No accent. There's no accent. There's the only thing you can really accent are either windows or the steel up the
That's what I was
stairways.
wondering.
You know, I don't know if you're painting the steel up the stairways, you're
No.
just cleaning it, or
No,
what.
it's galvanized metal, and that's
Right.
really a lifetime finish. And to turn that into a maintenance finish would be a nightmare for us.
Plus, it's going to peel and it's going to be a nightmare. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So so your windows and your steel, your galvanized steel are your accent, and your building is Halo. And move on. And let's get back to education. Thank you.
Yes. So let me get back to the Halo here. So basically, this would be essentially what it would look like. You'd see the lighter, call it that bone grayish color on the right
Throughout.
side. And I think it looks great. It really does. And based on your comments from our last session, that's why actually we proceeded with providing the Halo option. And I think it ties in contrast versus trying to match. And in our last couple slides, and just to add to the conversation, I'm just going to advance to this a little bit, because when you look at this elevation, that's a picture taken with an actual camera, not a computerized rendering. And if you look on the very left of the B building section, right before, right under the bridge section, you can see there's 3 colors there. One is the reclaimed wood on the bottom. Then you have the Halo in the middle, which is the whitish gray, and then you have the pewter color above that. You can see the 2 grays are very close, which is why I separated them.
Mhm.
Now, from that view right there, in that light, both the grays are excellent matches to the building for that particular elevation. And the reason I wanted to show a picture of that elevation is, if you look between the two, on the first floor, between the 2 windows, you see the little handicap sign there? That is those are actual bricks there that are different color. So the challenge to try to match is very difficult. You're going to match one area, but it's not going to match another area. And I'll give you another idea. On that bottom course right there on the B building is a color that was picked during this middle process and was used as the building B2 was finished.
It's ugly.
And I'm telling you, if you look at it in a certain light, from a certain angle, it's almost a perfect match. When you look at it from that angle, it's very green and doesn't match. And that's actually the same color that's painted on the arches on the east side of the B building. So your notion of not trying to match it and trying to contrast it, I think is a really good idea at this point, because we're never going to catch the exact look.
What are we matching?
Go back to the other one.
Yeah. So, well, okay. So that's the second picture that I took at a different time of day, because now those 2 grays don't match that well. So that's why I think if we try to contrast with the off-white, with that bone-ish gray color, which we're calling Halo, which is the original color of the SDC, I think that's going to ultimately be the best choice. It looks really great. It's going to show well. It does really separate and highlight the beauty of the B buildings.
And we have a lot of events in the STC area, in the courtyard.
Yeah.
And so for STC and A to have a consistency would serve an actual purpose.
Yeah. I really think that. So, and I've changed a little bit, because initially I really felt, in talking to the architect and the designers from Dunn Edwards, we all really felt like, hey, we can catch this building. But we went through pretty extraordinary efforts to try to do that. But each elevation of the B building has different challenges and different masonry And if you look at one of those bricks up close, you'll see 50 different types of colors in there. So although we've come very close to, achieving a match to the extent possible, it's a match for that particular elevation and section that we're looking at. So we're never going to get it.
But then I have another question for you. Looking at that picture, what's your plan for the
gold?
The 70s Art Deco in the...
By the elevator, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it would all blend.
It would all
Yeah,
blend.
we'd paint the halo on everything.
That I wouldn't mind to be a contrast of some sort. I mean,
So
now
if-
that we're getting into it.
If we wanted to do that, that would be a lot of extra work. Certainly, painting contractors are absolutely capable of that. It's not rocket science, but we would definitely see a change order for that. We didn't bid it out that way.
To be a differential.
Yeah, and if you walk up and actually look and consider the amount of effort to try to isolate that and paint that, and then there's also the inside, the garage side as well. We could do it, absolutely. Again, it's not rocket science, but it would definitely be a substantial change order. There's a lot of that trim throughout
What
the
are you talking
entire
about, the
perimeter of
elevator?
the building.
Those white arches.
Yeah, the white arch.
Yeah, and as you
White-
get on the
oh.
upper section, yep,
That's the elevator?
yeah,
Whatever's in it.
that's the area by the glass lobby into the bridge. And
Oh,
so-
that's in the lobby into the building. Oh.
And then
What
on
would the color be above there then? What's that gold gonna be?
It would, all that mustard color would change to the halo color. So
The halo
all,
color,
all be the
okay.
off-white. And it ties in, let me get back to that slide here.
Can I ask a question though, off the topic, but before you finish, I want to ask a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
I drive along Wilshire Boulevard all the time, and this ugly thing next to the fence on Wilshire Boulevard, why is that sitting there like that? I wondered what that's all about. Could you explain that?
Wilshire and...
Wilshire and what?
On Wilshire by El Rodeo, on the north wall, the fence, and you go up the street, and there's this ugly pipe sticking up out of everywhere. So it's a huge.
Are you talking about?
I just wondered what that was.
That's our fire department backflow and connections.
It's always going to be like that there.
Yes.
There's no way you can cover it up.
No, we can't really cover it up. It has to be accessible.
Oh boy, is that ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like they made a mistake or something, and they didn't get. I don't know. It just looks like.
One
I have to
thing-
tell you what it appears to
Yeah.
me.
And every one of our buildings has multiple backflows. That's actually a big part of our maintenance program, and they're all coded for fire, domestic,
I
and
understand what it's for
irrigation.
now, but
And so one thing that we could do, if we wanted to pay for that, they do make covers like screens for them. It's a mesh, and generally, we can paint them a color that doesn't have to be, that would sort of diffuse a little bit.
well, I don't know if I'm wanting to do that
it
right
would
now,
be-
but I
they're
just
very
got to tell you,
expensive.
have you seen
You're
it?
not pleased. No, I can't recall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's our water supply coming in, and there's meters on there. They're very strict on how
I
we
don't know.
have to
I
manage
didn't
those.
notice it before.
Yeah, just to clarify, so the domestic water does have a gate in front of it, and it's covered by that grass fence that we put up, but the fire department connection is still exposed, and as of now, we don't have any plans to cover it up.
All right. So
Do we have consensus for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no accent, halo throughout,
Mm-hmm.
and that sounds pretty easy.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, do we vote or?
No, it's not a
Okay.
voting item.
All right, thank you.
We'll take that as go
Thank you
forth
very
and
much.
paint. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the time.
got a tight time frame.
We'll make it work.
Thank you.
Thank you again for the time.
Okay, we discussed another not cosmetic, what's the word? Aesthetic issue. El Rodeo plaque options.
Yes, this is coming back onto the board agenda just for review, some discussion, and then we'd like to be able to order the plaque as soon as possible.
I can't find. I'm clicking on the attachment, and the attachment isn't coming up. Oh, I got it.
So let's see. So it looks like there's ER option 1.
First one is
ER
there
option
already.
1A, ER option 2, ER option 2A, ER option 3, ER option 3A, ER option 4, ER option 4A. Okay.
I looked at this and, sorry, were you going first?
I don't have to. We
I
could
mean-
change it up.
Okay.
Talking to your
Go crazy with your bad
Yeah,
self there.
just, to me, I thought that considering this evening, we learned that our management team, our bond management team is being awarded an award and being recognized for El Rodeo. And as well, Raphael and Will being, part of that team and our team essentially, in effort. I think, this is an opportunity to include everybody who's worked really hard on this and who has brought it to an amazing point where our community is just enthused and ecstatic and proud. So I'm going to suggest option 3, and I'm happy to hear what my colleagues have to say.
How does 3 differ from 2, by the way? Let's see.
3A leaves out,
No, wait, option 3 and option 2.
2 does not include Mr. Guzman and Mr. Karat.
Oh, just at the bottom it says Founder Solari, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And am I saying, after all this time, Karat, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
So
you vote, sorry, you said option?
to me, option 3 is really, the people who made it happen, who are standing here with us today, who are being recognized outside of this district for their successes. And it just feels very natural to me at this point, to move forward all together.
Okay. Noah, you want to opine?
Well, I'm okay with actually 3A. I don't mind listing all those. I would say that.
3A.
What?
I would go with 3, I think.
Wait.
Yeah, but Mrs. Wells is no longer a board member.
Well, I don't think she was here for most of it.
It's the tradition. It's sitting board members. We can't. Then you're going to run into problems with naming all a bunch of. Why didn't you name this person?
She was at substantial completion, and I also think that she was, really critical in helping us move forward. So.
I know, but there's so many people that were critical in helping move forward that are not on this thing. So we can fill up the whole plaque. If you want to do that, we should do that. But we can't be selective about it. And I really, there's no plaques in the district ever in the history of the district that have people that are not sitting board members listed as sitting board members. We don't do that. It's not punitive, folks. She's on city council. She's not a board member. So,
do you have anything else to add, or should we just call for the question and go to a vote?
Sorry, you're saying option 3?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Option 3.
Option 3 for me. Noah?
I'm saying 3A. Plus, you guys are also deciding on certain cabinet members and leaving other cabinet members off who are also, and it's okay, but just understand what you're doing. Listen, I can't support option 3, folks. I
hear you. Should we take a vote?
Okay, so shall I say all in favor of 3?
No.
Or just, okay.
Call for a roll vote.
Okay, I gotcha.
Should I make a motion?
Yes.
We need
Okay, I make a motion to approve option 3.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, so motion carries with 3 and opposing Noah Margot 1. Okay. Let's see.
By the way, everybody, it's Pro West Constructors, not Construction. You should have their name right if you're going to approve it.
Constructors, not Pro West Construction?
Yeah.
Do you want me to amend that we should look into that, whatever it may be?
We can do that.
We can just change it. I don't know if we
Thank
can
you.
bring this
Thank you.
back. Okay. All right, moving on to communication from board members. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Manishari.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to congratulate everybody on an amazing year. It was not an easy one, but sometimes everybody here made it look like it was easy. Felt like it was running a marathon and playing chess, checkers, and running all at the same time. But I do want to thank you, Dr. Breggy, for giving us your best this year and your teams. We had a really good start to our strategic plan update, looking forward to what's coming up for next year. So I just want to thank everybody for their hard work, their effort, all the promotions, graduation. I mean, there's so many heavy lifts that have happened in the last 9 months. I wouldn't know where to start. So thank you for a great year and looking forward to next year. And I hope everyone has a great summer.
Thank you, Judy. Ms. Manishari?
I really
Rochelle.
want to thank the district for their complete with the graduations and everything and ending the year on such a high note. I know that we'll be losing some members of our faculty during the summer and starting, and I want to wish them well in their journeys, wherever that will take them. And I also want to say just a few words about working with everybody that I've worked with this year. It's been a pleasure. You've been very, very supportive. You've answered my questions. You've tolerated some of the things that I don't always agree with or I have different opinions on. And I just want you to know that we can always agree to disagree and still be friends on the board. And I want everybody to have a wonderful summer. I don't know where everybody's going, but I'll be doing my usual summer in Minnesota, fishing, wakeboarding, water skiing.
With the grandchildren.
You can imagine me on that. And I just want to say thank you again.
Thank you, Rochelle. K-Bev, I did share a picture with you. I don't know if they... Uh-oh. No, not of me. Ava, I believe, sent a picture to you. All right. First of all, I want to tell you that Maple Center is having a commemorative opening of their new site. And I am thrilled that they invited me to be someone who is a representative of our district. As you know, we do have a collaboration with the Maple Center that generously gives of their services to help our youth with mental health issues. And I've been invited on Sunday for a ribbon cutting for their new location, which is at 1945 South La Cienega. And on another note, I wanted to recognize that June is the Pride Month, and it is something that I've seen all over Beverly Hills in very nice and unexpected ways. I saw they had put a rainbow on a crosswalk. And it was. I hope that it stays. It actually makes it very pleasant, and you can actually see the steps much more easily. So I have been in a same-sex relationship for over 13 years now. We share 2 children, and I know that on behalf of all members or people who are part of LGBTQ and those who, oh, there we are. That was us in Amsterdam about a year ago. And for those who are related to people they care for or support, or anyone who just understands, thank you for offering June and the what has been given from the district and the support from the city. And that's it for me. Thank you. With that, oh, good. Well, we can carpool. Okay. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.